With all the concerns of blood sugar um, causing diabetes today, we should be asking ourselves the question, is stress making your blood sugar go higher? Today I'm going to talk about how stress affects your body, what are our concerns about blood sugar levels, and what you can do to control both. Hi, my name's Eric. I am a certified life coach, and I'm here today to give you this little talk about how stress is affecting your blood sugar levels. Everything I say today is my opinion, and it should not be considered as medical advice. Um, but what I have to say might have some value to you. So keep listening. First off, stress. Um, what is stress? Well, it really has two names, distress and eustress. Now, we often hear the word stress, and what we're thinking of is distress. In other words, um, when our body has a uh, physical reaction to things going on in our environment, or maybe even things going on in our head, and in a negative way. But there's also eustress, which is our body also having a stress reaction to good things, um, a birthday party, or riding a bicycle, or anything fun or happy going on in your life. This also is stress, but this is good stress or eustress. So um, let's talk about um, what's going on when we experience stress. Well, we probably feel it. We probably feel it in our body. Um, Often we feel it emotionally. It's often referred to as the flight or help me with this, the fight or flight syndrome. So when we undergo stress, um, our hormone cortisol goes up, as well as other um, hormones like adrenaline. And when cortisol goes up, um, our body is ready to react to the stress. Should I get out of here, a flight, or should I do something to work on the situation, fight? Um, and stress can affect us in many ways, especially chronic stress. It can cause dull thinking. It might cause us to make bad decisions. Stress can cause exhaustion and sickness within our body. It definitely can have an effect on our digestion and be the cause of poor digestion. And stress can uh, be a contributor to aches and pains in our bodies. And there are other things that stress does to us as well. So the question is stress making your blood sugar go higher? Well, uh, why is blood sugar such a big topic? Well, you probably already know that chronic elevated blood sugar is uh, also called diabetes, when um, our blood sugar goes up and it stays up, and our body can't seem to get it under control naturally. And this is a big concern because uh, diabetes can have all kinds of health effects. Um, and if it's not controlled, then can cause neuropathy, um, gangrene, um, sores, and what's the word, ulcers. like on the bottom of your feet. I mean, I've met people who've had toes amputated, feet amputated, legs amputated because diabetes was not under control. Also, it can cause blindness. There's also type 3 diabetes, which is also known as dementia, Alzheimer's. Um, and again, this is because of elevated, chronically elevated blood sugar that's not brought under control. So, um, hang on one second. I dropped my glasses. Oh, here they are. I need to look at my notes. So, what's going on in our body? Well, um, our blood sugar is technically called glucose. We have different things in our blood, and glucose is one of them. Glucose is essential for brain function and lots of functions in our body. But it's only our body only requires a very small amount of glucose. Um, and if we did not eat, our liver would produce the amount of glucose necessary for our body to function. Now, so this is the natural way that our body makes sure we have the glucose we need. It's secreted from our liver. Now, as you probably know, when you eat carbohydrates, um, the sugar in the carbohydrates in the flour, bread or pasta, rice, and of course sugar itself. Uh, these, when ingested, elevate our blood sugar. Now, if we're eating carbohydrates and our blood sugar goes high, it spikes, which is only natural, then our pancreas secretes insulin. And the insulin grabs all of that sugar and, in simple terms, stores it in fat cells. That way, we're not having dangerously high levels of sugar or glucose in our bloodstream. So the pancreas secretes the insulin. Now, if you probably know of someone who has diabetes and it's gotten so out of control that their pancreas no longer can secrete enough insulin to control their glucose, or maybe other factors involved there as well. So then they have to actually inject insulin in their bodies to control that blood sugar level. I have a friend that has type 1 diabetes, which is typically something that a child will get, might be born with it. And this is only controlled by diet and um, insulin injections. So insulin is key to controlling our blood sugar levels. But remember that insulin has this good function of controlling our blood sugar levels, but it also stores fat and it locks up our fat cells. So as long as there's glucose in our bloodstream, then the fat cells are in storing mode because of insulin. And if we want to get rid of fat in our bodies, the only way we can do that is to get our insulin levels to come down so that the fat cells can be unlocked and release um, the what they need to release so we have less fat. Did you know that when you lose fat, it's excreted from your body in two ways? First off is through carbon dioxide, you exhale it, and second is through water, you urinate it. So I thought that was an interesting bit of information that when we lose fat, that's what our body, those are the end products of that chemical reaction in our bodies of losing fat. But we can't lose fat as long as our insulin levels are uh, up. So we want to get our insulin levels down. And the only way that can happen is if our blood sugar or our glucose levels are down. Now, the question of the day is stress making your blood sugar go higher? So if you're stressed and your blood sugar is higher because of it, then your insulin's going to go up and it's just going to store fat and lock in the fat, and you'll never get anywhere if you want to, get that beach baby body uh, to lose some fat and be healthier. So um, you can bring all this under control by different means. And this is what I want to talk about today. But first, let me explain before we talk about ways to bring down blood glucose naturally, to bring down our stress levels naturally. Let's talk about the stress, uh, insulin, and fat death spiral. So, when we're stressed, our body secretes the hormone cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and this hormone is essential for our body to respond to stress. Um, when we have cortisol um, in our body, then it tells the liver to create glucose because remember, stress is the fight or flight. So we need glucose to give us energy to either fight or flight. And that's why the liver will create more glucose when we're under stress or when our cortisol level is high. This in turn increases our insulin levels because then the insulin comes in to get that blood sugar under control. And insulin stores our visceral fat, and especially in our viscera and our bellies, around all of our internal organs. And here's the sad part. Visceral fat increases our cortisol levels. So the more visceral fat you have, the more cortisol your body is going to create. Visceral fat has 2 to 3 more cortisol receptors than other cells in our body. So when we have visceral fat, it actually wants to, it wants more cortisol. It will tell our body more cortisol, because I've got all these receptors and I love cortisol. That's what visceral fat is doing. So it's this death spiral. Our cortisol goes up, our liver uh, secretes glucose. The glucose causes the insulin that goes up. The insulin um, stores more visceral fat, and the visceral fat says more cortisol. And it's just a spiral that just gets worse and worse. Now, do you wake up in the middle of the night? I think most people do naturally. You go through a few hours of nice deep REM sleep, and then you come out of that, and then you go back down, hopefully, into another nice deep REM sleep. There should be at least 2 of these cycles during the night. But if you're waking up in the middle of the night to pee, or you're waking up and your mind is racing, um, and that's when you're thinking, okay, I've got to count sheep, and you can't even count them because so many other things are going through your head at the same time. This is all increasing our glucose levels. When we wake up in the middle of the night, our body gets a signal, oh, I'm awake. I need to increase my glucose levels because I need to start getting active. This is what happens in the morning when we naturally wake up. Our glucose goes up. If you get a one of these glucose monitors, or you use the test strips and check your glucose levels, you'll notice that one of the highest times that you're of glucose in your blood is when you wake up in the morning. So think about it. You wake up in the middle of the night, your liver says, time to make glucose. And then what's that do? Time to secrete insulin. And then you get in that spiral again. Nighttime should be a time for your body to be restoring, for that glucose levels to come down, for your insulin to come down, so your body can burn those fat reserves. And if you're waking up in the middle of the night and your liver's making glucose, and now the insulin's going in your blood again and it's storing more fat, it's doing the opposite thing of what you want to do. So it's important to get a good night's sleep. And I think I've already done a video about sleep, but I'll do another one to talk about sleep. But I'm going to cover that a little bit more here in a minute. The next thing is chronic cardio. Now, what is chronic cardio? We're yeah, I'm going to get the word out. Jogging, running, any kind of exercise that's more than a walk, that's prolonged. So chronic cardio will increase your cortisol levels, which then increases your glucose, which increases your insulin, which just wants to store fat and hold on to fat. Also, if you're fasting too much or fasting improperly, then this is actually stressful to your body. It increases your cortisol level, which increases glucose, increases insulin, stores fat, holds on to fat. So what is the solutions? Is stress causing your body to store fat to make your, I'll get this all out, right? Is stress raising your blood sugar levels and causing your body to just hold on to fat? So here's what we're going to do to try to fix this problem. Number one, we're going to stop eating 3 hours before bedtime. You've probably heard me say this before. You need to give your body a break at nighttime, and it needs to have that 3 hours before bedtime to digest what you have eaten. And after 3 hours, the digestion process has slowed down. Now, because when you eat, naturally your glucose goes up, the insulin goes up. They start coming down after about 3 hours, and then your body can secrete melatonin to help you to fall asleep, and the body can rest during the night rather than being working to deal with the food that you ate. Number two, you could try taking electrolytes before bedtime. Now, I have found that electrolytes help me to not wake up with leg cramps. I don't know if you have ever had that problem with having leg cramps in the middle of the night. Of course, they're very painful, very annoying. And when you have the leg cramps, you wake up. You're wide awake. Your glucose goes way up because it's got to give you energy to get out of bed and to get moving around to work out the leg cramp. And your insulin comes up, and you're in fat storing mode. So electrolytes can help to reduce the likelihood of leg cramps at nighttime. So I like to take an electrolyte powder about an hour before bed and just have a little glass. I put some water in it and a little scoop of the electrolyte powder, and stir it up and just chug that down about an hour before bed. And usually that really helps me to not have leg cramps. Therefore, I'm not waking up in the middle of the night because of leg cramps. Okay, number 3, walk after every meal. Now, I hope that you're a walker. I hope you're walking a lot of steps every day. But after a meal, if you just walk 15 or 20 minutes, what happens is that that moves the glucose from your meal into your muscles. So our muscles are very hungry for glucose, but they won't grab on the glucose unless they're being used. So after you eat, um, take a walk. This can move about 20% of the glucose in your bloodstream into your muscles. Therefore, your body doesn't need as much insulin, and therefore it's not going to be storing fat as much. Number 4, we're going to increase our protein intake in our diet. Now, what's this have to do, with stress and blood sugar? Well, if you're eating more protein in your diet, then you're going to fill up on protein and the fat that naturally comes with it. That's all good. Protein is going to help to build and maintain your muscle mass. And as I just mentioned, muscle will use more of the glucose in our bloodstream, so not as much insulin is required. Protein will help you to feel fuller. And so if you eat your protein first, and then your veggies and berries and that kind of thing, then you're inclined to not be going after the carbohydrates so much. It should help. A high protein diet basically should help you to feel content and not needing the rice and the bread and the pasta and the desserts and all that kind of stuff. Also, if you're getting a high protein diet, that's going to help you to have better fasting. I've talked about fasting before, I'll talk about it again, but you want to have proper fasting, and a really good way to end a fast is with protein, because it doesn't cause your glucose or insulin to spike like like carbohydrates would. So protein. Now, number 5. Maybe some of you won't be able to do this, but I hope that everybody can do it to some degree, and that is sprinting. So sprinting, contrary, and so sometimes people ask, well, what about walking? Doesn't that raise your cortisol level? Because isn't that like a chronic cardio? No, walking is not chronic cardio. Walking actually stimulates your parasympathetic system to calm down. And this is one benefit of sprinting. Sprinting will actually lower your cortisol levels. Lower cortisol, your liver's not creating the glucose, no need for the insulin. Also, sprinting increases your human growth hormone, which is really important to build and maintain strong muscles. And number 6, meditation. And I hope that you're currently doing some kind of meditation, whether it's going to a yoga class or praying, finding a few minutes every day to just sit quietly and to just push the thoughts out of your head. Maybe listen to some calming music, calming sounds. Also, Thanksgiving, giving thanks, gratitude is a great thing to do as a part of meditation. So finding that calm, quiet time every day lowers your cortisol levels. So these are things that I hope, if you give them a try, will help you to um, keep your stress levels down or under control so that your blood sugar is not going up so much, not spiking, and then your body doesn't need to secrete that insulin, and you can let go of that fat at nighttime, get a good night's sleep. I hope it's helpful. Um, if it is, just gently press that like button for me, would you please? And I hope by now you've subscribed to the channel so that you can uh, be alerted when my next video comes out. And there will be another one, I promise you. Until the next time, be well.